This is the story of Warith Habib Abdal. He was convicted of rape and robbery. A crime he didn't commit. If you are aware of anyone who has suffered for a crime they didn't commit, do let us know. We shall tell his or her story. On May 18, 1982, Leslie A. Werner, a 23-year-old white woman, was raped and robbed in an Erie County, New York, nature preserve where she had been birdwatching with her husband. She described her attacker as a black man between 5 feet 8 and 5 feet 10 with a space between his upper front teeth and a tenor-type voice. Warith Habib Abdal, a 43-year-old African-American known as Vincent H. Jenkins at the time, did not fit the bill. He stood 6 feet 2 inches tall, had no gaps between his teeth, and a deep voice. Nonetheless, he was apprehended for questioning about the crime 4.5 months later. Abdal was presented to Werner in a one-man show-up, but she failed to identify him as her attacker. She then viewed a photograph of Abdal that was 4 years old. She returned to the show-up and identified him. Based on Werner's identification, an Erie County grand jury indicted Abdal for first-degree rape, sodomy, and second-degree robbery. Before his trial opened on May 31, 1983, Judge Frederick M. Marshall suppressed the pre-trial identification, calling the police identification procedure highly improper. Marshall nonetheless permitted Werner to identify Abdal in court based on a supposed Braille-type recollection from touching his face during the rape. No other evidence purported to link Abdal to the crime. A forensic analyst testified that he had compared a negroid eyelash recovered from Werner at the hospital where she was treated after the attack and found it was dissimilar to Abdal's eyelashes, but he said it was not unusual for different hairs to come from the same person. He bolstered this claim with reference to a study that purportedly showed it would not be unusual to have to look at 4,500 strands of hair from the head in order to get a match with any one particular hair. And, from the pubic hair, one may have to look at as many as 800 hairs. To clarify, the prosecutor asked whether, to match one hair from my head with another hair from my head, you have to look at maybe 4,500 of them? The analyst agreed with that characterization. On June 6, 1983, the jury convicted Abdal of all charges. On November 4, 1983, Marshall sentenced him to prison for 20 years to life. On July 10, 1987, the Appellate Division of the New York Supreme Court affirmed the conviction. Following the advent of DNA forensic technology, which did not come into being until long after Abdal had exhausted his state appeals, his appellate lawyer, Eleanor Jackson Peel, filed a petition for a federal writ of habeas corpus. At Peel's request, on February 10, 1992, Senior U.S. District Court Judge John T. Elfvin ordered DNA testing of vaginal swabs and slides collected from Werner at the hospital after the attack. The testing was done in 1993 by Dr. David Bing of CBR Laboratories in Boston, but the results were inconclusive. Then, at Peel's request, Barry Scheck of the Innocence Project joined Abdal's legal team. In the hope of resolving the ambiguities in Bing's work, Peel and Scheck arranged for new testing by Cellmark Diagnostics in Germantown, Maryland. In late 1998, the Erie County Forensic Science Laboratory sent the swabs and slides to Cellmark via Federal Express, but the evidence was lost in transit. The DNA samples prepared 5 years earlier by Dr. Bing still existed, however, and from these Dr. Edward T. Blake of Forensic Science Associates in Richmond, California, performed tests in 1999 conclusively establishing Abdal's innocence. After Blake's results were confirmed by the Erie County Forensic Science Laboratory, on August 31, 1999, Judge Elfvin ordered Abdal freed. The next day, Abdal was released from the maximum security Green Haven Correctional Facility in Stormville, although he still faced a possible retrial. On November 2, 1999, Supreme Court Justice Joseph P. McCarthy, the supervising judge for Western New York criminal courts, dismissed the indictment. In January 2002, a court of claims action brought by Abdal was settled for $2 million, $323.62 for each of the 6,180 days he was wrongfully incarcerated. He did not live long to enjoy the money. On September 19, 2005, he died of cancer at age 66. In 2009, his estate settled a state court lawsuit against the city of Buffalo for $1.2 million. If you have learned something in this story, do share in the comments section below. Subscribe for more stories of people who have been punished for crimes they did not commit. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.